on Power Talk AM 1460 and FM 101.1. Streaming worldwide on iHeartRadio. Jan Price talks to the movers and shakers in the film business. The Jan Price Show.
Welcome to the Jan Price Show. Today, our show is going to be a little different. On the first half hour, we're going to be talking to award-winning entertainment journalist Dave Karger. And in the second half hour, we're going to be interviewing Alica Malone, who's the new prime host on Turner Classic Movies. So to begin with, welcome, Dave.
Thank you very much, Jan. Nice to be back with you.
Yes, it's always nice having you on the show. Tell me a little bit about how this came about. You had been on Turner as a part-time host for special events on Turner Classic Movies. And how did it come about as far as you becoming a full-time primetime host?
Well, the way it worked out is about 2 years ago, I was brought down to Atlanta to do an audition for the people at TCM. And at the time, they were launching their new streaming service, which is Filmstruck, which is kind of like their version of Netflix, where they show, you pay a monthly subscription fee and you get access to all these incredible classic and independent and foreign films. So they brought me down to actually audition to be a host on that streaming service, Filmstruck. And after the audition ended, they called me and they said, we liked your audition. We actually think you'd be a good fit for the network. So I was thrilled at the idea of getting to be a fill-in kind of guest host, which is how they started me off on TCM. And the first time I hosted was July of 2016, so about a year and a half ago. And I did an Olivia de Havilland tribute because it was her 100th birthday.
Oh, right.
That was really fun. Then they brought me back the following February to co-host 31 Days of Oscar, which is their big February thing that they do every year. And then I did another gay Hollywood tribute last summer, and then I did 31 Days of Oscar again this year. So I did 4 months as a guest host, and then after that, they let me know that they were going to bring me and Alica Malone, who's actually a great friend of mine and has been for years, both of us on as official hosts. So I am now the Saturday and Monday host, and Alica is the Sunday and Tuesday host. And then Ben Mankiewicz, who's been on the channel for years and years and is so great and kind of our fearless leader now.
Yes.
He does, Wednesday through Sunday primetime. So, and then there's also Eddie Muller is the fourth host who does Noir Alley every Saturday night. So the four of us are kind of now installed as the official TCM host, and we're all very excited about it.
Yeah, it is very exciting, and it's fun to see different faces that we haven't seen on a regular basis, and and it's enjoyable because you all bring something new and different to the table every time that you're on. So that's exciting. Do you get involved at all in any of the programming?
Well, the nice thing about it is, I have to be a little cagey with you here, is that now that I'm on board more officially, they have invited me to pitch ideas of what we call spotlights, so special month-long film series of something that I would want to do. So the good news is that I have pitched a spotlight that was accepted, and it'll be running, I think, in December of this year. That's all I can really say at the moment, but it's that I'm very passionate about, and an idea that I had when I noticed something that they had never done before on TCM, so I suggested it to the programming people, and they approved it. So we're kind of in the process of working all that out now, and we'll hopefully film it in the late summer or early fall, and it'll be on in December. So maybe closer to that time, you and I can talk again.
Okay,
But what's super fun for me is because the people who work at TCM, the programmers, they're amazing, and they are encyclopedias of classic film, and it's really fun for me each month to get my list of assignments, basically, and the nights and the days that I'm going to be filming, and to see what kind of themes they put together, whether it's a tribute to an actor. In the month of May, I'm doing a one-night tribute to Robert Donat, who is kind of like the Colin Firth of his time, and we're going to be showing 3 films that he was in. I just, a couple weeks ago, did a night that was all about movies that from the 50s about the fear of radioactivity. So these kind of B horror movies like Them and The Incredible Shrinking Man, and that got a lot of attention online. People were really excited about that on Twitter when I posted about that. So it's really fun for me to see what the TCM programmers come up with, and which ones I know well and which ones I have to learn more about. It's been so much fun.
I can imagine it would be fun. How often do you have to go down to Atlanta to record the intros?
So now I'm on a every 2-month schedule. So every 2 months I go to Atlanta and shoot 2 months worth. So I was just down there a few weeks ago in mid-March to shoot April and May, and then I'll go back down in mid-May to shoot June and July, and so forth.
Well, that's got to be difficult for them, to be programming out that far.
It's amazing. They really do program out far. As my shoot dates approach, so when I was just doing the March shoot for April, May, of course I knew the April titles sooner than I knew the May titles, but I had, enough time to research the May titles as well, even though it was a little bit far out in the future. That they are really good about planning ahead at TCM.
Well, how much research do you have? I know that I've heard they give you packets of information and you go through it, but how much research do you have to do?
On each film, it's totally different. TCM has writers and producers that do the first pass at the intros and outros that we deliver, and then they send them to us, and at that point, we get the opportunity to go through them and edit them and tweak some things, put it more into our own voice. Maybe send a couple back with a few extra questions about maybe can we focus more on this instead of this. And then for the ones that are, newer to me, like the radioactive ones, those were not movies that I was that well versed in because they're a little bit, a little bit different from the norm that a TCM shows, which I think made it fun. But for those, I was able to do a little bit more research so that I knew what I was talking about when I was delivering the intros on camera.
I was going to ask you, so how much, I know that when you hear Ben, he has his little quirky things that he puts in, which I think are always fun. And I was wondering how much you get involved with actually changing things so it does fit your voice. But you said you are able to do that then.
Yeah, as you and I have talked about many times before, I am an Oscar geek. That is my big.
Yes.
Whenever there's any kind of Oscar trivia that I can throw in there, of course, it doesn't apply to every movie that I'm introducing, but whenever there's some kind of Oscar story, whether it's George C. Scott for Patton or Katharine Hepburn, with all of her nominations and wins, I'm always trying to throw that kind of stuff in there too. And then for me, the big thing is whenever there's any kind of behind-the-scenes story of something funny that happened or two castmates that maybe clashed at first but then got along better, I like to throw that kind of stuff in as opposed to just a plot summary, because I think if you're about to see the movie, there's no need for me to do any more than just set it up the tiniest bit and let you enjoy the plot. But I like to kind of let people know that there's maybe one little moment to look out for or one little cameo to kind of keep their eyes open for.
I totally agree with you. I think that's what makes it so enriching when you're watching Turner Classic Movies, are those little nuggets of things that you didn't know about, like whether I've heard you throw in, everybody throws in a few of those little fun things that are fun to exactly watch for when you're watching the movie. So that makes it fun. How long does it take you to prepare to, when you're going in? How long are you in Atlanta to record these? And, you're doing 2 months worth. So are you there a couple of days, 3 days, a week?
Yeah, it's a 3-day trip and it's 2 shoot days. We actually kind of get through them. And now that I've been doing it a few times, I've managed to do it at a pretty good pace. And, always there's that one intro because, it's all in one take. So it's even if it's a 3-minute thing, if I'm getting through it and then at the very last minute I make a mistake, well, you have to start all over.
I was going to ask you that. So they don't edit?
Nope, they don't. It's all in, and I like that about it. I like that it's all in one take. I think it's one continuous shot. I think that's what I like about TCM. They're not cutting all over the place and trying to make it super fancy. It's just like a very relaxed one take. So a lot of them we're able to get through once and then we move on. And then sometimes, I'll make a mistake or, say a word wrong or stumble over something and then we do it again. And then, yes, like each shoot date, there's that one intro or outro that I have to do like 4 times. And then it becomes this big thing where I'm just apologizing to the crew because I'm so worried that I'm going to make them late for lunch or their dinner or something. But we get through it, and it's such a lovely group of people who work at TCM. They make it so much fun, and they always assure me, don't worry, Dave. Any mistake that you've made, we've heard it before. Anytime that you had to do an intro 4 times, don't worry. Other people have had to do it more. These guys, men and women, have been through this for years, so they're not fazed by any mistakes that we make.
Yeah, well, that's good that they're so. I hear all these wonderful things about Turner Classic Movie. The staff there being so gracious and everything. So it's nice that they're in your corner and they're supporting you and not going, oh my God, he's doing it again.
I know, absolutely. And
can he get that word?
And the different people on the crew, it's been fascinating for me to see what their areas of expertise are. There's one guy who's on the crew who's he's the grip, but then he also does the craft service, the kind of snacks on the set. But he's also a total expert on military terminology and military films. So anytime we're doing, and that is definitely not my area of expertise. So, but I've enjoyed learning about these films over the last couple of years, but I didn't know that much about them. So if I'm doing an intro about a military film, he really has his ears up to make sure that every destroyer or helicopter or aircraft that we're talking about is correctly described, and he'll stop us if he thinks that we're getting it wrong. So he's like an invaluable resource.
I was say it's great to have somebody like that who is an invaluable resource for you as you're doing, as you say, you can only know so many things about movies. I mean, so you're not a walking encyclopedia. So it's nice to have other people that have an area of expertise that are like encyclopedias in their area, like you are with Oscars, for sure.
Exactly, and that's what's great fun. And then we all like to challenge each other and tell each other interesting things that the others might not know, and it's been a total joy.
Oh, I can imagine. I'd love to be a little fly on the wall and listen to the conversations. Well, speaking of Oscars, I was so surprised to see you on the red carpet this year on ABC, and I want to find out, how did that come about? And
that was one of the thrills of my life. I
can imagine.
Of course, I always watched that red carpet pre-show every year as a kid and as a college student and a young adult, and I always thought, wouldn't it be great if I ever got the chance to be one of the hosts on the official Oscar show? And a couple of months before the Oscars, I got some outreach from Jennifer Todd, who was one of the two producers of the Oscar telecast both this year and last year. And she said, Dave, I'd like to bring you on as one of the hosts. And I knew her a little bit over the years because she's also a film producer, and I had interviewed her before and interviewed her cast for some other of her movies, so she was aware of me, and I was thrilled. So we were able to work it out, and I, along with Michael Strahan and Sarah Haynes from The View and Wendy McClendon-Covey from Bridesmaids and Krista Smith from Vanity Fair and myself, we were the 5 hosts of the pre-show, and it flew by. It was a total thrill. The adrenaline was great. What was fun about my role is that I didn't have one particular spot. I was kind of the roving guy during that hour-and-a-half long show, so I was able to do an interview with Kelly Marie Tran from the most recent Star Wars movie up in the bleachers. I was able to interview Gary Oldman and his wife Giselle right on the middle of the carpet before he went in to win his Oscar, and it was just such a thrill to be a small part of that show and just to experience the electricity of the Oscars. It was great.
And you could see that you were having fun and that you were excited. Your energy was coming across the screen, just so you know, on the other side. So, and I was rooting for you and cheering for you. How does this affect your? Are you still working on the Today Show? So I still do stuff for the Today Show, and that's the thing that I like about my situation is that I get to work for TCM. I still do spots on Today. I also work for the website IMDb, and then this was a one-off thing for ABC. So the nice part about my situation is that I'm essentially working for myself, and I'm able to kind of loan myself out to all of these different channels and outlets that are interested in having me come on with them. So it's nice that I don't have to worry about an exclusivity to one network or another. I'm a much, much, much lower version of, let's say, Ryan Seacrest, who is able to work for a lot of different networks as well, but obviously in a much higher profile than myself. Wouldn't you be like to make his money?
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Well, I'm very excited for you, and we're going to be right back after these brief messages. You are listening to The Jan Price Show, all about movies on Power Talk 1460 and 101 FM. Like The Jan Price Show on Facebook and check out thejanpriceshow.com. The Ozio Theater in downtown Monterey is now open every day, showing independent and foreign films. The Ozio Theater has new concession offerings, including beer, wine, hard cider, and their homemade Lush Slush. You can now schedule private event screenings for community charity events, birthdays, anniversaries, or just a fun gathering of friends. For more information, visit the Ozio Theater online at oziotheater.com.
Garnet Lash Studio, located in Monterey and San Diego, offers the best lash artists in their cities. Each lash artist is trained and endorsed by Garnet Lash Academy. Training includes lifetime access to online modules and videos, a toolkit, and discounts on the best tools available. To book an appointment, go to garnetlash.com. For information on training, go to garnetlashacademy.com. Be sure to check out what their customers have to say on Yelp by searching Garnet Lash Studios.
Tired of looking at your worn wood floors? Mr. Sandless can bring them back to life again. That's right. It's Mr. Sandless, the no sanding solution to beautiful wood floors. Mr. Sandless is clean, efficient, contains no harmful chemicals, and is certified green. Mr. Sandless refinishes all hardwoods, softwoods, engineered flooring, and laminates. Most jobs are completed in one day with no cleanup required ever, with virtually no odor, and is safe for pets and kids. No need to move out or even leave the house. Mr. Sandless is the company that invented Sandless Refinishing and is the largest floor refinishing company in the world. Over 120,000 happy customers, guaranteed adhesion, guaranteed satisfaction, and a 5-year warranty. Call Mr. Sandless today at 831-747-7476. That's 747-7476. Or MrSandless.com. That's MrSandless.com.
On Power Talk AM 1460 and FM 101.1. Streaming worldwide on iHeartRadio. Jan Price talks to the movers and shakers in the film business. The Jan Price Show.
We are back, and my guest today is award-winning entertainment journalist Dave Karger. So, Dave, let's talk a little bit about the Turner Classic Film Festival. It's coming up the end of April.
Yes, very soon.
April 25th through the 29th, I believe, are the dates.
Exactly right.
So tell me what you'll be doing and some of the things that are going to be happening, because it looks like just an amazing festival.
It's a really fun festival. I'm excited that you're going to be there this year, Jan.
Thank you.
I got to go last year as well, and we just showed dozens of classic films right in the center of Hollywood in a lot of these historic movie theaters like the Chinese Theater and the Cinerama Dome. And a lot of classic filmmakers and stars also come to talk about their movies or to introduce movies that they're fans of. So Sally Field is going to be at the festival this year to introduce a screening of Places in the Heart. Oh. We have James Ivory, who just won the Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar for Call Me By Your Name. We're going to be showing Morris, his film with Hugh Grant from the 1980s, and have a big conversation with him. The producers, a new print is screening, and Mel Brooks is going to be there for the opening night. Cicely Tyson is going to have a handprint ceremony in front of the Chinese Theater. So all these great things are going on. And then so myself and Alicia Malone and Ben Mankiewicz and Eddie Muller, we're also on hand to meet fans and also to help introduce some of the screenings. So one of the screenings that I'm going to be introducing is the 1958 movie Gigi, which of course won Best Picture and 8 other Oscars, and my special guest for that screening is going to be a lovely guy named Mark Bridges, who, if anyone watched the Oscars this year, he not only won the Best Costume Design Oscar for Phantom Thread, but he also won the jet ski for delivering the shortest Oscar speech. So at the end of the ceremony, he was paraded across the stage in his brand new jet ski. He is a huge TCM fan, along with being a 2-time Oscar winner. He also won for Best Costumes for The Artist, and he loves these classic films, so he's going to be with me and talking about the costumes in Gigi. So it's going to be really fun to have him there too. But that's what's great about the TCM Film Festival is that we have people like Eva Marie Saint, who is also going to be there to talk about her movies. But then we have people like Edgar Wright and Dennis Miller, who are more contemporary, who are going to be helping to introduce classic films that they love. So it's a really, really fun event, and I would encourage anyone who's a lover of classic film and wants to learn more about it to come down.
Yes, definitely. And they can go to tcm.com and get more information, or...
That's exactly right.
Okay, so go to tcm.com for more information and get your tickets, because I was looking at the schedule. The schedule was released yesterday, and they've got some really fun, exciting things going on. There's a Roaring Twenties party. That sounded like fun. There
is, yes, and I'll just make it a little bit easier. The more specific web address is filmfestival.tcm.com. TCM.com.
Okay. All right.
That's where people can see everybody who's coming and all of the movies that are going to be showing as well.
Okay, we'll repeat that again for sure. So, who gets? Do you get involved with when putting on with the film festival? Do they just assign who you're going to be, what films you're going to be introducing, and who you're going to be interviewing, or do you have some input on that, or does
both.
Susanna bring in the talent for the festival?
Exactly. So there is a department at TCM that is specifically involved with this festival and booking all of the special guests, and they started months in advance. But then as, the Oscar season goes along and I'm kind of entrenched in that world, and as I'm going about my day-to-day life, going to Academy screenings and Academy functions, and I'm meeting all of these nominees and contenders, and I'm kind of collecting the ones that I know are big TCM fans. So that's how the Mark Bridges booking came about, is that I knew he was such a big fan, so I went to the TCM people and said, how about this guy? He just won his second Oscar. He had this great moment. He loves TCM. Can we bring him? And they said, what a great idea.
Yeah.
So, but then others, like last year, I was assigned, and I was thrilled to be assigned, interview with Peter Bogdanovich before a screening of What's Up, Doc? Mm-hmm. And what a thrill it was to, interview him at the Egyptian Theater in the center of Hollywood in front of, an audience of people who were just so excited and hanging on his every word and hearing him tell all these great stories about Ryan O'Neal, and it was just fabulous. So it's kind of a mix. So sometimes if they just need us to plug us in, they'll let us know this is what we're doing, and other times I'm able to say, I think with this person would be great.
Yeah, well, Peter Bogdanovich, I had the opportunity to meet him a few years ago, too, and he's just a wealth of wonderful information about Hollywood. And have you read his book?
No, but now I want to, because if his stories that he tells in person are anywhere as interesting as the stories he tells in his book, I'm sure it's fascinating.
It is. It's very fascinating. You should definitely read his book, yeah, for sure. But, yeah, he's interesting. Go ahead.
No, and then the other really fun one I got to do last year was we had the Abrams Zucker guys who did Top Secret and Airplane. We had the three of them before a screening of Top Secret, and I did a really, really fun interview with them, and it was just so entertaining to see the three of them. And I mean, I think they're comedic geniuses, and for someone like me who really came of age in the 80s, it was really fun to spend some time with them as well.
Speaking of Mark Bridges, he took that jet ski and he did an auction, I believe, and he was for anybody who wanted to win it. And I guess we're donating the money. He was raising money to give to, I think, was it the Actors Fund, or are you aware of this?
Fantastic. Yeah, he doesn't strike me as the kind of person who probably would be out on the jet ski. He's very busy. He's working on the new Noah Baumbach film now. Although I did just see on his social media that a friend of his gave him one of those metal kind of license plate frames that you put around your license plate, and it said, "My other car is a jet ski."
Oh, how funny.
So I think maybe even though he doesn't actually have that jet ski anymore in his possession, I feel like he has it in his ownership.
Well, I thought it was a wonderful thing that he decided to do with the jet ski, is to raise money. Because I mean, it's obviously an iconic, jet ski at this point.
Most famous jet ski ever.
Yes.
I think we can unequivocally say that.
So somebody would definitely want to own that and have bragging rights, I'm sure. So it was fun that he was raising money for a good cause.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, you can ask him about that when you interview him. What did he do with that jet ski? So Eva Maria Saint, I mean, she's been at the festival before, and what is she? Is she 94, 92?
I believe she is, and I'll tell you, so she and Robert Osborne were very, very close friends. And I got to go to the Vanity Fair Oscar party this year.
Oh,
and
fun.
The awards, and I saw her there as she was leaving, and I know her public relations man. So I said hi, and he said, "Oh, you come over and meet her." And I said I would love to. So I explained to her that I am now doing a job that Robert once did, and she just was so sweet, and it was really exciting to kind of chat with her for a little bit and reminisce about Robert, because I actually got to guest host with Robert Osborne 11 years ago on TCM and got to know him a little bit. So we had a kind of a Robert love fest, and I really hope I get to see her again at the film festival.
Oh, yeah. So tell me about Robert Osborne and you doing something together. I mean,
So in 2007, I was invited. At the time, I was working as a writer for Entertainment Weekly magazine, and I was their main Oscar writer. And I had kind of gotten to know some people at Turner and done some work with them for some other channels like TNT and TBS. And they said, "Why don't you come down and co-host a weekend of 31 Days of Oscar with Robert Osborne. And it was a Best Picture marathon of all Best Picture winners that they ran during one weekend.
Oh, wow.
So they brought me down to discuss these older films, but also to talk about what was going on at the Oscars that year. And it was the year of Helen Mirren in The Queen, and Peter O'Toole for Venus, and Forrest Whitaker for The Last King of Scotland. And we just discussed what a great year it was, particularly for female actors, because all of the big talk was around the Best Actress category that year. And, I wasn't sure. I think at the time I was 34 years old, and I wasn't sure what Robert Osborne was going to think about me. We didn't know each other, and he could not have been more lovely and gracious and gossipy and fun. We just had such a great time, and I'm so grateful that I had that, even though a short experience. I'm so glad that I had that experience with him, because all I want to do with this job at TCM is carry on the legacy that he began and continued for decades. And I know that Alicia, who you're about to talk to, I know she feels the same. And that's really our main goal with this job and our work with this channel.
What a blessing. What a blessing that you had an opportunity to meet with him, and that you're able to carry the torch and do exactly that.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. Well, you are already. All of you are. So it's fun to, as I said, fun watching you on Turner Classic Movies. I was very excited when I read the announcement about you and Alicia, and it's always a pleasure having you on the show. And I thank you for your time today. I look forward to seeing you at the Turner Classic Film Festival at the end of April, and I look forward to having you back.
Thanks, Jan, and enjoy your chat with Alicia. Tell her I say hi.
I will. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, see ya.
Bye. You have been listening to The Jan Price Show, all about movies on Power Talk 1460 and 101 FM, and like The Jan Price Show on Facebook, and check out thejanpriceshow.com.
Have you ever dreamed of doing commercials or movies? Your dream starts with a desire. And if you have a desire to do commercials and feature films, we want to know about you. We're Moco Film, one of the Genesis companies that includes VoiceJock, a major provider of TV commercial talent to TV stations throughout the nation. Registering is free. Just go to mocofilm.com and fill out the information. That's MOCOfilm.com. You'll become part of a large talent bank available to producers. Go to mocofilm.com today and start living your dream.
The Century Theater at Northridge Mall is newly remodeled with luxury loungers in every auditorium. Oversized plush recliners are electric-powered reclining seats with extendable footrests, cup holders, and snack tables. Guaranteed comfort with all reserved seating. Reserve the best seat in town online at Cinemark.com or download the Cinemark app today. The Century Theater at Northridge Mall is newly remodeled.
Garnet Lash, located in Monterey and San Diego, offers the best lash artists in California. Each lash artist has been trained at the Garnet Lash Academy, so you can be sure that you are getting a lash artist that has the skill, artistry, and expertise to give you amazing results. Here are what some happy customers have to say about Garnet Lash.
My eyelashes are amazing. I've had so many compliments. People can't tell if they're real or fake. They're very natural looking. I hardly need makeup anymore. My eyes are so much brighter. I'm very happy with them, and I want them forever.
If you're looking for great quality lashes and great service, this is the place to go. I love my eyelash extensions and would recommend Garnet Lash to anyone that is interested in giving eyelash extensions a try. All the lash artists are professional, and it shows. They're awesome.
If you want your eyes to look fabulous morning till night, make an appointment today at garnetlash.com. That's garnetlash.com.
On Power Talk AM 1460 and FM 101.1, streaming worldwide on iHeartRadio. Jan Price talks to the movers and shakers in the film business. The Jan Price Show.
We are back, and my guest today is Alicia Malone, who's the brand new primetime host on Turner Classic Movies and also a primetime host on Filmstruck. Welcome back, Alicia. Good to have you back on the show.
Nice to be back. Nice to talk to you again.
Yes, you too. You too. Well, I'm very excited, as I said to Dave in the first half hour, that you and Dave were both hired as primetime host at Turner Classic Movies. I asked Dave how it came about, so I'm going to ask you the same question. How did this happen?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I moved over from Australia to Los Angeles now 7 years ago, right at the end of 2010. And when I arrived here, I used to watch TCM all the time because I grew up with classic films, so it made me feel less homesick to have it on in the background while I was figuring out what to do. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any work contacts, so I didn't know where I was headed. But I used to watch it all the time. So then one day I thought, I'm going to write down some goals, and I'm just going to put it out there, dream goals, what I really want to do. And I wrote down, one day I want to work with TCM, and then in brackets I put dream job host. So I didn't know how that would happen. But fast forward a couple of more years, doing a podcast about classic film, and the head of the podcast studio asked me what my dream job was, and I said, I want to work with TCM. And he said, well, I actually know the head of talent with TCM, so let me know if you want me to put you in touch. And at the time I thought, not yet. I still have stuff I've got to work on, my own skills, my own hosting skills. So another year later, I decided I was ready, and I asked him to put me in touch. And I had coffee with the head of talent, who happened to be in town in LA right then. And little did I know, but they were planning to launch Filmstruck, the streaming service, the partnership with the Criterion Collection and TCM. So when I was talking about all my favorite directors, I was mentioning foreign directors as well as classic directors, and she thought I might be a good fit for Filmstruck. So I went down to do an audition for TCM and Filmstruck, and that was probably 2 years ago now. And I did my audition. I was really nervous, but when I arrived, I saw my name and the TCM logo on a piece of paper outside the makeup room. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to take a photo of this because it feels like I've made it, even if I don't get this job. I did the audition, and then about 6 or so months later, just at the TCM Film Festival in 2016, I got sat down by two of their heads of programming, and they said I got the job on Filmstruck. So I was really excited. So I've been working with Filmstruck now for 2 years, and it launched about a year and a half ago. And throughout that time, I was also kind of saying, love this. This is so exciting. I also would really love to be on TCM one day. So last year, they let me do an audition for TCM. Again, I was really nervous. Just it hit me being on that set for the first time, the legacy of it, thinking about Robert Osborne, who started that job, and then Ben Mankiewicz, who does such a good job at it. And then I didn't hear anything until the beginning of this year when they told me that they were going to bring me on board to do both TCM and Filmstruck, and I just screamed. And I was in MoMA, the museum in New York, by myself. I thought I'd go to the museum, and then I got the news, and I was kind of excited, but I had no one to tell. In the museum, I was looking around being like, oh my God, I've got this exciting news and no one to tell, but I'm really thrilled.
Oh, yes, you should be. It is very exciting, and it's nice. It's nice to see a woman on in the evening.
Yeah, that's right. It's nice to be able to bring that feminine energy and get dressed up and get the hair and makeup. It's really fun. Yeah.
Now, how does it different from Filmstruck?
So Filmstruck being a streaming service, when you go on there, you can see some extra features. So when you're watching a film, you might have the option to watch a hosted intro before you see the film, or there might be little video essays, and they're the kinds of things that I host. So I go down to Atlanta and I film for both Filmstruck and TCM. So similar in that there are some hosted intros, but a lot of the stuff that I do for Filmstruck are lengthier pieces. So there'll be a 5-minute piece with a lot of clips from the block of movies that I'm talking about to really give the viewer an overview if they want to find out more about the film. And it's an optional extra. And I think a lot of people do choose to watch it. And for that, I get to delve into a lot of foreign films and a lot of movies I don't know about. So I feel like I have the best of both worlds right now.
So, yeah, you do, for sure. Now, so when you're saying, so if somebody's on Filmstruck, and how they would find you is, it just says there's an extra on? Like
Okay. It'll have like Filmstruck original features. You can find it on the page when you log into Filmstruck if you've got the app, which is on Apple TV or Roku, or I use my Amazon Fire Stick, or you can go to your desktop or even your phone if you so desire. And you can look, and they have Filmstruck original extras, original features, and you can look there, and there's a whole bunch of stuff, and a lot of them are hosted by me, and then sometimes we get other special guests in, people who were involved in those movies, or film scholars or film critics who also do these extra features. Or when you go to choose a film, there might be an option next to the play button that says hosted intro, and then I'll pop up and give you some info about the film.
And is it a little different? I mean, I'm talking with, having talked with Ben and with Dave, you're given the films that you are going to do the intros and outros for. And with Filmstruck, is it a little different? Do you get to choose what films you want to do an introduction?
No, we still give assigned films, but what I do is once I learn which films I'm going to get, then I'll try to delve into it, much like I do with TCM, and watch all the films and do my own research, as well as working with the writers to come up with the intros, because I really like to have my own voice, present throughout and have that bit of authority. And so, there are films on Filmstruck that I get given that I probably wouldn't have watched otherwise, or I wouldn't have known about, and I feel really lucky, because also when it comes to foreign films, everything's a product of the time and place when it was made. So not only do I learn about films and filmmakers that I might not have heard about, but I also learn about politics a lot and world history. And it's very interesting to delve into these stuff that I didn't get taught in school.
Right. Well, being from Australia,
yeah,
you don't
exactly.
get our history over here so much. So do you still get the tons of research papers that you have to go through? So it's very much the same.
Yeah.
Except it might be longer.
Exactly. They're longer pieces, and when I'm recording them, I can stop and start throughout because it's a long read and they have a lot of film clips, but similar process in terms of putting it together, and it's all the same team as at TCM and Filmstruck. So it was really great for me to be able to cut my teeth on Filmstruck, get to know everyone in the crew, and I think I was much less intimidated coming into TCM, which, as I said, was my ultimate dream gig, because I knew everyone and everyone was so kind, and I knew that I was able to change the scripts as much as I like, to inject my own self in there, to do my own research, whereas I probably wouldn't have known that if I went straight into TCM.
Right, and it was good background for you, and it was wonderful that you had that, were able to have that experience going into it. So when, how many do you do introductions for on Filmstruck? On average?
Filmstruck on average, it's probably about 5 or 6 a month of these long pieces, and then on TCM per month, it's about 35.
Oh, wow.
So I watch a lot of films, basically, and I feel very
Do you have time to do anything else?
Not really, but I enjoy that. That's what I would do anyway. And my friends always laugh at me because I'm like, yes, I've got a day off. I'm going to watch a film. And they're like, really? Even on your day off? I'm like, yes.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I'm exactly the same way. And sometimes I call movie marathon days, where I just said it's my Jan day. I'm staying in bed today, and I'm going to watch, and it's alternate classic movies that I watch and that I've recorded. And I do little themes. I save films up, and I do my little theme for the day. And it might be all Cary Grant one day, or all Gary Cooper, or Betty Davis, or whatever. And so I kind of plan those days. So I'm with you. I
love that. And I got myself a little treadmill, and I put it in front of my TV, so that some days when I am just marathoning movies, and if I don't want to have a lazy day, then I can walk while watching a film.
Very smart. I might have to invest in a treadmill for sure. We're going to be right back after these brief messages. You are listening to The Jan Price Show, all about movies on Power Talk 1460 and 101 FM. Like The Jan Price Show on Facebook, and check out thejanpriceshow.com. The Ozio Theater in downtown Monterey is now open every day, showing independent and foreign films. The Ozio Theater has new concession offerings, including beer, wine, hard cider, and their homemade Lush Slush. You can now schedule private event screenings for community charity events, birthdays, anniversaries, or just a fun gathering of friends. For more information, visit the Ozio Theater online at oziotheater.com.
Tired of looking at your worn wood floors? Mr. Sandless can bring them back to life again. That's right. It's Mr. Sandless, the no sanding solution to beautiful wood floors. Mr. Sandless is clean, efficient, contains no harmful chemicals, and is certified green. Mr. Sandless refinishes all hardwoods, softwoods, engineered flooring, and laminates. Most jobs are completed in one day with no cleanup required ever, with virtually no odor, and is safe for pets and kids. No need to move out or even leave the house. Mr. Sandless is the company that invented Sandless Refinishing and is the largest floor refinishing company in the world. Over 120,000 happy customers, guaranteed adhesion, guaranteed satisfaction, and a 5-year warranty. Call Mr. Sandless today at 831-747-7476. That's 747-7476. Or MrSandless.com. That's MrSandless.com.
Garnet Lash Studio, located in Monterey and San Diego, offers the best lash artists in their cities. Each lash artist is trained and endorsed by Garnet Lash Academy. Training includes lifetime access to online modules and videos, a toolkit, and discounts on the best tools available. To book an appointment, go to garnetlash.com. For information on training, go to garnetlashacademy.com. Be sure to check out what their customers have to say on Yelp by searching Garnet Lash Studios.
On Power Talk AM 1460 and FM 101.1, streaming worldwide on iHeartRadio. Jan Price talks to the movers and shakers in the film business. The Jan Price Show.
We are back, and my guest today is Alica Malone, who's the brand new primetime host on Turner Classic Movies, and she's also a host on Filmstruck. Alica, I talked with Dave a little bit about the Turner Classic Film Festival, so I want to talk to you a little bit about it. Do you know what you'll be doing at the film festival this year?
I know some of what I'll be doing, and I'm really excited about it. One thing that I can't wait to do is a conversation with Gillian Armstrong, who is the great Australian director. They're playing My Brilliant Career at the film festival, and she's someone that I grew up loving and grew up watching her movies, and I can't wait to be able to sit down with her at Club TCM, and that is on Saturday at 12:30 at the festival. I'm also doing a couple of intros for films, and on Friday I'm doing another chat, a panel with a group of people who write, a group of authors who write biographies on famous classic film stars. And because I wrote my own book, Backwards and in Heels, it's going to be really interesting to talk to some fellow authors and people who are really established in that world about how they went about researching these classic film stars and putting together their book. And then for Filmstruck, while I'm there, I'll be doing a couple of interviews which will eventually go on the service later on. And it's just such a great vibe at the festival. It's one of my favorite places, my favorite times of the year.
Oh, I know. I'm very excited. I'll be there this year, so I'm very excited.
Yay.
My first time, yes. And and I was looking at the schedule yesterday, and there's just so many interesting events going on, fascinating films, lots of wonderful people who are going to be there discussing the films, and it's going to be hard to choose what to go to.
Yeah, that's the thing, is there's too much to see, and I'm trying to figure out, like, with my schedule and everything I get to do is so fun, and then I'm like, okay, there's a little break there, so maybe I can run to this movie during that time, and, you know, they have a nitrate print of Leave Her to Heaven, with one of my favorite film noir movies, Technicolor film noir, and that would look amazing in nitrate print. So I really want to see that one. There's so much, so little time.
I know. Well, hopefully we can try to connect when I'm there this time, and we can get to meet in person. So
yes, I love that.
You're doing other things too besides this. You're a busy woman.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what other things you're involved with.
Well, one of the things I also do in relation to Filmstruck is the Filmstruck podcast that I host and also produce as well. We have a new episode every 2 weeks, and I get to sit down with filmmakers for the podcast and speak to them for a great length of time. I just talked to Rian Johnson, who is the director behind Star Wars The Last Jedi. He is a classic film buff, so we talked all about films that he loves, that he's been watching on Filmstruck and TCM, like all the Powell and Pressburger movies, and how that has influenced his work on these big franchise films. And I got to talk with Edgar Wright and Alexander Payne and all these great filmmakers who also love classic movies. And then, as I mentioned, my book, you know, I had that one come out last year called Backwards and in Heels, which is about the history of women in Hollywood. And it came out in August, and that was right before everything started hitting, all the news that just came out. And it's interesting because suddenly, I mean, it's great. Suddenly everyone wants to talk about it. So I've been doing a lot of panels and a lot of interviews and talking about my book, a lot of ones started speaking about women in film, which is great and I hope leads to actual change in Hollywood. And so now I'm working on book number 2, which is going to be a guidebook to some of the essential movies made by women throughout the decades and throughout from different countries as well. So I'm putting that together at the moment, and hopefully that'll be out later this year.
Wow, you are busy. When do you sleep?
Yeah, I know, and I'm trying to give myself some more free time lately too. That's my plan, is like to spend time with friends and go do some hobbies and that kind of thing. But it's hard when you love what you do, because then you just want to do it all the time.
Exactly. But it is, talk about perfect timing with your book. That is amazing, and truly amazing that you came out when it did. So tell me, for you, what makes a movie good or great for you when you're watching a movie?
Yeah, for me, it's all about the characters and the story, and that's why so much I love these classic films, is because they are classic for a reason, and their stories are so engrossing, and that's why they've lasted the test of time. I'm not someone who has ever been into the big special effects or big larger-than-life superheroes, the Star Wars. That's never been what I've been interested in. It's always been about character-driven stories with relatable people. I especially love the movies of the 30s and 40s and into the 50s, where you had these really strong women. You know, I love movies like His Girl Friday, where you see Hildy Johnson, and she's this fast-talking, wisecracking reporter, and these women's pictures that were really popular at that time, featuring these great women that have, become icons. Your Betty Davis, your Joan Crawford. I just can watch those over and over again, and each time I get sucked into the story.
I'm with you 100%. It's exactly. I mean, talk about great film roles back in the 30s and 40s for women. I mean, they ruled.
They really did. They really did. And even in those films where at the very end of the movie they decided to give everything up for love, or they fall for the guy, they were so strong throughout. They were often the leads. At that time, actually, they were paid equally as the male co-stars, because they brought in the people. Audiences, especially female audiences, would go to the movies just to see these women, and they had these personas that were so distinct from each other. You knew what you were getting when you went into a Betty Davis film, and you knew what kind of movie Marilyn would do, and it was it's just so much fun to rewatch them and discover more of their work, some of their deeper stuff through TCM and Filmstruck. And
you never get tired of watching their performances. One of my favorites is Greer Garson. I could just watch anything she's in. I think she was just so stunningly beautiful, and just her spirit emanates, in every role that she does. I mean, Random Harvest is one of my all-time favorites. I can just watch it over and over again. And Goodbye, Mr. Chips. And, she's just so brilliant in everything she does. Mrs. Miniver. I mean, I agree with you. I love it when Betty Davis's birthday is this month, and that they're having Betty Davis Day, and, playing a lot of her films. And they're playing some things that they haven't played as much as they have in the past. So there's some new ones. That's what I also love. You find little gems. You'll go, I didn't know they did this movie, because you always hear about their big films, and then there'll be this little gem, and you go, wow, why haven't I heard about this movie before?
Exactly, and that's one thing that I'm really loving with my job at TCM, is that discovering these films that I hadn't watched before. For example, the other night I just watched Light in the Piazza, which is a movie starring Olivia de Havilland. I'd never seen that film.
George Hamilton.
Wonderful, yes.
And was it Yvette Mimieux? Yvette Mimieux?
Yeah, Yvette, yes. And it was so beautiful. Florence just looks so gorgeous, and I hadn't seen the film before, and now I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Olivia de Havilland, a big fan of hers,
She's
obviously.
wonderful.
And so that, her birthday, her 100th birthday, she was the star of the month, and that would be coming up to 2 years this year. So she'll be 102. Hard to believe.
Amazing.
July 1st, 102. And again, I mean, my all-time favorite movie is Gone with the Wind. I could just see that over and over and over again and never get tired of it.
Yeah, I'm the same with The Apartment.
Oh,
That's a movie that I watch over and over again. I never get sick of it. It's a wonderful story.
It is a wonderful story. I had the opportunity to interview Shirley MacLaine, and she's
great.
so wonderful. Yeah, it was a pinch me moment because I've always been a huge fan of hers too, and that's one of my favorite movies. I have so many.
Yeah,
so many. Everybody goes, well, what's your favorite? You always have to pick one out. And I go, well, there's so many. But I always, when you watch a movie and you cry all over again, even though what's going to happen, that's a good movie.
That's a really good movie. That's a movie that stays with you.
Exactly. It really does. I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after these brief messages. You are listening to The Jan Price Show, all about movies on Power Talk 1460 and 101 FM. And like The Jan Price Show on Facebook, and check out thejanpriceshow.com.
Garnet Lash, located in Monterey and San Diego, offers the best lash artists in California. Each lash artist has been trained at the Garnet Lash Academy, so you can be sure that you are getting a lash artist that has the skill, artistry, and expertise to give you amazing results. Here are what some happy customers have to say about Garnet Lash.
My eyelashes are amazing. I've had so many compliments. People can't tell if they're real or fake. They're very natural looking. I hardly need makeup anymore. My eyes are so much brighter. I'm very happy with them, and I want them forever.
If you're looking for great quality lashes and great service, this is the place to go. I love my eyelash extensions and would recommend Garnet Lash to anyone that is interested in giving eyelash extensions a try. All the lash artists are professional, and it shows. They're awesome.
If you want your eyes to look fabulous morning till night, make an appointment today at garnetlash.com. That's garnetlash.com. Have you ever dreamed of doing commercials or movies? Your dream starts with a desire. And if you have a desire to do commercials and feature films, we want to know about you. We're Moco Film, one of the Genesis companies that includes VoiceJock, a major provider of TV commercial talent to TV stations throughout the nation. Registering is free. Just go to mocofilm.com and fill out the information. That's MOCOfilm.com. You'll become part of a large talent bank available to producers. Go to mocofilm.com today and start living your dream.
The Century Theater at Northridge Mall is newly remodeled with luxury loungers in every auditorium. Oversized plush recliners are electric-powered reclining seats with extendable footrests, cup holders, and snack tables. Guaranteed comfort with all reserved seating. Reserve the best seat in town online at Cinemark.com or download the Cinemark app today. The Century Theater at Northridge Mall is newly remodeled.
On Power Talk AM 1460 and FM 101.1, streaming worldwide on iHeartRadio. Jan Price talks to the movers and shakers in the film business. The Jan Price Show.
We are back, and my guest today is Alica Malone, who's a primetime host on Turner Classic Movies and also a host on Filmstruck. Alica, we only have a couple of minutes, but I do want to ask you, who has influenced your career the most and why?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, it was funny that you mentioned that you had Dave on before, because I remember when I first moved over here to the U.S., a friend asked me, whose career would you like to emulate? And I said, I'd like to be the female Dave Karger, because he was someone that, this is before I knew him, he was someone that always carried himself with so much expertise and so much elegance. And then once I moved over here and I got to see Robert Osborne, he's someone that is impossible to emulate because he was one of a kind, but I just love the way he was so friendly and warm and knowledgeable, and that's something that I try to work towards being on camera.
Oh, those are great. I love both of those people myself, too. Having met Dave myself, I just adore him. And not having met Robert Osborne, but certainly have admired him through the years watching Turner Classic Movies. Well, I wish you much continued success. And I look forward to seeing you at the Turner Classic Film Festival. And for anyone who would like tickets, you can go to filmfestival.tcm.com. Is that right? I think it's filmfestivaltcm.com. So thank you, Alicia.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to talk to you, and I can't wait to meet you in person.
Me too. Thank you. You have been listening to The Jan Price Show, all about movies on Power Talk 1460 and 101 FM. And like The Jan Price Show on Facebook and check out thejanpriceshow.com.